and IT and
Potty training.
I was there.
It's like potty training.
Good evening. Everybody hear me okay? Hear me in the back? We're changing microphones, trying all kinds of new things. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Good?
Yeah, we're here. 60 degrees. My God.
Yeah.
It's a perfect day. No, it's great to have everyone out tonight. What we're going to do is we're going to go over, we put a slide presentation together for you. It's obviously you're here about the Yacht Club. We're going to talk about what's brought us to this point. We're going to, anybody that came, and I see some faces that came when we first did the, was it 7-hour or 6-hour marathon? Okay. I promise you it will not be anything near that. But we are going to go over recap some of that in a much shorter time frame. Ted's not here, so I'm going to blame him for the length, Ted Maroney. So I don't think he's online watching yet, so I can get away with that. But we'll go through that part. We'll talk about what's led us up to this point. And then at the end of the presentation part, that's when we're going to start doing the question and answer. A big thing for us is getting input from you folks on the concepts, what the design is. We've had them up. We're going to talk about some more tonight. I'll answer any questions I can. And then we're looking for some feedback. Good, bad, or indifferent. You know, the only way this works is if we all participate together and talk about it and see where we want to take it. So everybody understand where we are? All right. Teresa, would you take care of the first slide? There we go. And for those that don't know Teresa, she put all the boards and everything together for us today. So thank you for that, Teresa.
Nice.
And she made dinner.
What's that? She had a grapefruit or something, I think, with her dinner. Another thing before I start rolling on this, just I had a lot of folks call and question or express concerns about why we were doing it at dinner time, okay, and that we were avoiding trying to get people out. Folks, I can tell you this, that's the last thing to be true is for me to want to come out here and stand around for a couple hours by myself. Our goal to do 2 evenings and 1 Saturday was to promote and encourage folks to come out either on one or both or all three. So I'm glad you all could come out, but I just wanted to dispel any of the rumors. Folks saying, well, you made it right at dinner time, so folks wouldn't come. I mean, I actually had some emails with that. I'm not sure why. I mean, one of the things we do is encourage the input and feedback's what's most important. So I appreciate you all being here. I just wanted to dispel any rumors that say we don't want you here because I love to fill the room. You notice we set it up for enough folks. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about where we are. Research input validation. This was our process, okay? We started out with some board guidance. You know, board instructed and said, hey, you need to figure out what's going on, take a look at our facilities, and start game planning for some long-term planning for the Yacht Club, the Country Club, the roads, all of our infrastructure. So we've done that. We presented in June some findings. I put a small group. It was a facility planning group. And these were folks with some expertise in some areas that could help me get smarter and understand a little bit more as we start going through looking at the structures. And we started developing a strategy. We listed all of the facilities, all the infrastructure in Ocean Pines. We racked and stacked, put it all together, brought it back to the board and said, look, here's all the infrastructure, the roads, the playgrounds, the facilities. And then from there, we knew that we had to go the next step. We had a group, the 10-year task force that spent 18 months doing work, evaluating the Yacht Club, Country Club, the major facilities. And through that evaluation, they came up with some ideas, some concerns. There was a structural inspection completed on each. So we knew we took our foundation, all that information, all that hard work that group did, and we started to build from there. The next thing that we knew that we needed to do was we needed to get the most current structural inspections possible on the facilities, the Yacht Club and Country Club. The reason we wanted to get something a little more current, we wanted to be very, very aggressive. Unlike years in the past, someone would come out and do an inspection, it was more visual. They'd walk around, they'd make notes, they'd come up with, here's what we see, but it wasn't invasive. we did more invasive. We actually cut holes in the buildings so you could look at some of the wiring. You can look at the footers. You can look. I mean, we got that deep because really, if we're going to make a recommendation to move forward with any of it, we need to know the true conditions of those facilities. You know, it's everyone has an opinion of what it is. We want facts of where it was. So we went very, very aggressive with it. And then from there, we started to solicit. I started talking to some folks, some golfers, some folks that use the yacht club, the club's committees, and just started coming up with some planning, some strategies on what it may look like moving forward with both of those, which brought us to our concepts. After that, I came back, represented in December to the board. Here are the concepts. The next step would be go a little broader with the community, not just the smaller groups we're meeting with, but do these type of input sessions so we can get some more direct feedback and give the concepts. It's not a board meeting, give it directly to you. I mean, you're the shareholders of the organization. You're the ones that have to make the decision, do we move forward or not? And that's where we are now, is collecting that data, trying to share the information and get accurate information out. We had a meeting on Saturday for our budget. And it was surprising. We had a very small crowd, much smaller than this. And some of the questions that came, and it's typical, was because the questions that came about the budget, 90% of them were just, they didn't have all the facts on what built us up to that page or that part of the budget. And that's typical, just trying to get the information out in the right way and in a meaningful way so people can understand it and make informed decisions. So that's where we are now. So now we're doing the community part of it. We did skip, I did a little bit here with some local business owners when we're looking at the yacht club and the country club. I met with some business owners in Ocean City. Some of the restaurant owners I know over there, just talked to them a little bit about the facilities, got some ideas from them, what's made them successful, what types of things they could see, what type of input they may have on our current facilities, and things we could do moving forward. So we solicited input from many, many different people at many different levels. And again, it was just trying to get smarter so we can make the right recommendations moving forward. Okay, it was real important to understand the building blocks that we use. The first and most important right now, and that's part of what the first section we're going to talk about, is the physical condition. I already told you we were very aggressive with the inspections this time. We actually did an RFP, request for proposal. We put a scope of what we wanted to have done and we sent it out for bid. And then we had contractors, engineers, send back proposals. From there, we took those proposals, put them on a big spreadsheet, and listed all down the left column, things they did, they didn't do, things that we liked about them, things that they included that the other didn't. And from that spreadsheet, we were able to narrow down who we felt was going to be the best for the two inspections. I will tell you, we used two different contractors, one for the yacht club, one for the country club, by design, because I wanted to have two different end reports. It was important so we can do a very good comparison. What did we miss? There's always something on this side that's a little better than that side. Helped us get smarter so we could ask the person that did this one, hey, did you look at this? And vice versa. Really helped us get really, really smart on both of them. Next thing we started to look at is the function of the two facilities. To get to the concept, we need to know how we're using the facilities. So we knew what the inspections told us from the fiscal plan. Now we need to come up with how we were going to use it moving forward. That's where we relied heavily on past work from many past folks who worked on the 10-year task force, the clubs committees, came back and shared with us. There's a lot of reading. A lot of people in this community put a lot of effort into coming up with this information. So we started there and went back to figure out what would be the best uses for both of those two, the yacht club and the country club facilities. Last piece of it, and we're really not there yet, and I don't remember, someone came up to me and was concerned about the brown roof on top of the facility, okay? There's no colors. Aesthetically, we have picked no colors. We have not picked finish or any of those. I don't want anybody to think that we're that far ahead. We're not. We don't know what we're building yet, if we're even building. But for a concept, we had to go with colors. So that's why brown and white were the two we used, as bland as I could make them. Okay, so just want to share, dispel any rumors, oh, he's already picked color. Not the case. It's just for a concept so we can have an idea of where we're heading. So, physical, function, and then aesthetics. Let's talk about the physical, the actual conditions of the yacht club. Now, I will tell you, as we go through the slides, most of them will be visual, they'll be pictures. I'll talk to you about them. We have the full presentation. I pulled the important pieces out, and I'm visual. We have this was 300 plus slides when we presented it before, okay? It's scaled down to less than a third of that in total. Okay, so I'm sharing that with you. If you would like to see any of that information, we'll have it on the website. I think it's on there now for this presentation before at greater length. Okay, I've condensed it just for time purposes. Okay, I don't want anybody to think I'm not, or we pulled things out. We didn't. I just wanted to make it short and get to your questions and answers tonight. Okay, AWB was a contractor out of Salisbury that actually did the work on the yacht club for us, did the inspection. The building was analyzed not only for physical condition, but any ADA or anything else that we could think of that we need to be concerned about moving forward. The last piece of the puzzle, which was an important part when we talked to both companies, likely use, what time frame or projected use. I couldn't tell someone, hey, come inspect it, and only give us a thought how to get by in the next year or two or three. We need to look long term. And that's what our instruction were when you're doing the inspections and for your evaluation. How do we have something that's 30, 35, 40 years or more? Because if we're going to spend this type of money, we need to be thinking long term. It can't be short next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. We've done that forever with these facilities, and that's why they're in the condition they are. We need to start thinking further out. Some facts about the facility that maybe not everyone knows. 1973, it was built. The building is ongoing, had several renovations occurred to it. Now, I'm going to point some of those things out to you. The majority of the structure is 38 years old. The infrastructure, the piping, the wiring, all the mechanicals. So just keep that in mind, 38 years old. The yacht club building is primarily, and this was just, again, the reason these are in these pieces to understand what the AWB inspector was looking at. Building is primarily utilized as a restaurant for various events, including weddings and banquets. The first 2 floors of the building are set up for banquet restaurant usage, with a bar and commercial kitchen located on each. Small coffee shop on the first floor. 3rd floor houses offices, and it has a big attic area and then a small area there where some dining occurs occasionally. Okay, now here's where we get to the visuals. Okay, and again, these are available on the website, but I just want to point out, this is probably the best way to explain it. Okay, this is underneath, this is looking at some of the foundation. I know it may be hard to see from the back, but this is all moisture. It's very, very damp, okay, so it's holding water, which means water is penetrating in, and this is where we're getting. Now, this beam, as an example, looks good, but you see the moisture under the flooring here. The other thing you'll note, and you'll see repeatedly through this, is no insulation or little insulation under it. Okay, this is another shot of a different part of it. This wall here is concrete. This was one of the ones we had replaced. Okay, so note, concrete looks okay, but this is typical under there with all the wiring. Again, no insulation. This is when you crawl under there, and I've crawled under the building. This is a good shot. Wait till you see some of the others. Okay, something else we wanted to point out. Okay, this is from the water side of the facility. Everybody notice the beams on this floor. Okay, you see how they're bigger than the beams up top? Okay, there's a reason for that. They were sistered up. And I did a run through with a couple folks today, and Teresa said, Bob, why don't you explain sistering? I hear you say it, but I don't know what it is. So, sistering up, you have the beam, the original beam that was there, and then on the 2 sides, because the condition of the beam, so at one point we came back and put 2 other new beams in, sistered up to each side of it, kind of like an Oreo cookie, sandwiched it together, bolted it together, which then made these bottom beams stronger because they now have new, beams under it for all intents and purposes. It's called sistering. And that's why when you look at the facility, they all had the 4x4 structure here, and now it's all paired up. And that was a fix to a concern at some point of the conditions of the facility. Okay? This side, no ADA, no ramp, no access, either up to the tiki bar area or anything from this side. Just, again, we asked them to look at ADA as well, Americans with Disability Act, because if we're going to do any major renovation, or a rebuild where we have to bring it up to code, which means we need to meet those current requirements. So before we make any decision to go down either of those paths, we need to know where we are. That's why we asked them to look at that. Okay, this part of the building. What this is showing you is several layers of different types of activities that have occurred where we've done patchwork. We've put, in the next one I'll show you, this part, okay, the previous slide, okay, move further this way, and you get to this. It's hard to tell where we are. This part of the building on here is the front of the club when you're walking up. That second floor, that wall, okay? When you look up, and I have another shot of it. Thing I wanted to point out, we were doing work there, we tore that back corner off. Okay, we identified last year, we did a structural inspection last year, we noticed it was spongy up there, we blocked it off. We said we were gonna come back this year and do more invasive, peel up the wood decking and see what was going on there. So this is part of when that work was being accomplished. Do you see the water that's here? I don't know if you can tell, but you see this? It's running from here this way, back. You know what it runs back to? The building. That's what's happening to the building. The building has settled, the decks are tilted in slightly, and this is all the way around it, so when the water hits, it runs in. It no longer runs out. Very, very, very important to know that, because now the water comes in and it settles up against the base of the building. And when you start to peel, when we cut some holes around the building, first and second floor, look, indeed you can see it. You can see exactly what's happened. Okay, again, the building tilts this way. Okay, this is the water side, so the deck's higher and lower on that side. Now, it looks like an optical illusion, but if you're looking straight at those steps, one side of the steps is lower than the other, almost a 2-inch drop. Okay? There's failing up in these areas, and you can go out, and you notice they've been closed. I closed them as soon as we identified it, we closed it. But if you go look, you stand on the other side and look up, you can see where the streamer on the stairs is actually lower. Okay? You need to know this. These have significant impact on our structure. As we're making considerations moving forward, rehab, rebuild, patch, whatever we're going to do, these are important things that we need to understand are happening at our structure. Some of the bracing, not a real good picture, but there's actually a metal, you'll see them when you walk around, there's that metal piece that's been drilled in to secure things up, and you can see them when you walk around any of the decks. Up top, crow's nest at the very top. The railing, okay, up there is 36 inches in height. If you look at the current standards, it has to be 42 from a safety standpoint, okay? Now, they are acceptable because we're grandfathered in. Okay, but I can tell you, I've been up there, I've been on the roof, okay, I've physically walked it. I don't let my kids go up. I've had stopped kids from going up this summer. It's acceptable, but I'm not comfortable with it. And the new rule says 42 for just that reason. You don't want a kid hanging over a rail at 36 inches. Again, 20, 30 years ago when they were built, it didn't matter. Not that it didn't matter about the kids, but the code wasn't caught up to that point, okay? So that's just some things we're pointing out as we look at this. It was a clear, dry day. It rained several days before. That's the middle of the roof. Water just sits there, folks. It's not running off. Again, with the settlement of the building, the water runs to the center and it just sits. The longer the water sits, it will find a path to go. It doesn't evaporate quick enough to get rid of it. It starts to find path of least resistance. Okay, in the kitchen, when you go inside the kitchen areas, on the second floor, actually on the first floor it's tile, but on the second floor there's a red flexible type of material that's been put down. It's for commercial kitchens. This area shows right along here where this grate lies, right around here, starting to deteriorate. That was a flash, right, Chip? Yes. I thought maybe I'm seeing the best. No, but right here you can see, if you start to look close enough, you can see it's starting to deteriorate, and it's just showing some of the conditions from the water as it's starting to rot around some of those different drains, which is, it's coming from the top, but it also gives you an idea that's the same thing happening from the bottom with the water running into the facility. Some stronger pictures underneath. And again, I didn't go under there to pull that out. I mean, that's the way it looks. You can tell by the color. I mean, if you crawl under that building, this is not unusual under the building. just years of, no one's done anything wrong. This wasn't, I'm not gonna say it was maintenance or public works, a past board, a past general managers, none of it. It's where we are today, folks. It's what we're dealing with. There's no blame from my perspective. It's just a condition that we need to be aware of so we make an informed decision moving forward. More of the insulation. Biggest thing I'm pointing out about the insulation, wonder why it costs so much to heat and cool the space. The R factor on the windows are negligible. Okay, they're very, they're just not, you don't have the insulation value that the newer windows do. And we have no insulation underneath. There's chicken wire, and you can't really see it there. They have the chicken wire that's up under a lot of space where you can see over years they tried to tack it back up. But with all the work, the different type of plumbing and wiring and pieces and patches they've done over the years, and stuff's just laying under it, it gets pulled down, it falls down, all those conditions are impacting us. Okay, remember I was telling you about the water in the backside? This was the corner that we took off, and we found a rotting beam here, and this is where that water was moving backwards towards the building that I pointed out. Okay? Okay, looking at some of the mechanicals. They went through and they did a real good inspection on the mechanicals, the age of all the equipment, the plumbing, the HVAC. This one's 20 years old. This was an interesting, anybody know what we're looking at here? What is it?
Gas.
Okay, what else is right next to the gas? It is gas, right? What's next to it?
Exhaust.
Standpipe for the fire department, right next to the gas. So if you had an issue, that's not where you want the two laying next to each other. It's just interesting over time when you start looking at some of these things. They're potentially hazardous. Some of the wiring, just pictures of the ductwork. This ductwork is laying right on top of this section. That section happens to be the top of the elevator. Not the way it's supposed to be. And you see all the extra wire, insulation wire, just you can probably go through there and pull enough wire out to build a house. I wouldn't use it, but I'm telling you it's there. This is interesting to me. This is the air handler. Okay, this is upstairs, second floor. When you go in the back, and you walk to the third floor. I'm sorry, you go upstairs, you go in the back, and you go actually up. This thing is huge. I mean, a huge piece. It looks like it came off a battleship. I mean, it's a big, gray, noisy. When you're at the yacht club and you hear that thing come on and the building starts to shake, it's because of this monster. Now, we're fortunate. Butch does a fantastic job with Public Works. I don't know what he does, but somehow he keeps that beast running. Okay, but at some point, we're going to run out of parts. There's only so many battleships you can get stuff from. But it's huge. To get it out, if we were going to read, because, some things we're looking at, okay, if we were just going to do some upgrades, the only way to get that out of the structure is to cut it into pieces. There's just no way to get it out at this point. Yeah, it's got to be cut up to get it out. So, interesting, HVAC folks here. Return at the same time. You wonder why it doesn't get cold or warm up enough. If your air is blown out, being sucked right back in, so it cycles back through, how much cooling or warming of the air is actually happening? Again, it just things for older building, different retrofits, different things are done. Some timing on it. These are the old GE panels. They went through and looked at all of them for us. Again, we're asking them to do a very invasive, very factual where we are, so they've got the specs on everything. The old panels, a lot of the panels now, okay, you can't get the old breakers for anymore. They're 20 plus years old. You just can't get them. We get them off eBay and we try to find them, but it's at that point where we have to look at, is it feasible to keep trying to patch and buy breakers that are that old? Final comments from the inspector. Based on the observations of structural, thermal, mechanical, plumbing, basically all the mechanicals of it, it is apparent that the majority of the foundation framing needs to be replaced. Not the concrete wall that we fixed, but all the rest. So there has been some work. The building insulation and glazing should be replaced. The mechanical, electrical equipment are far past their age, need to be replaced. Okay, now, this engineer does not replace it. He or she, the folks that came into the work on both facilities, we're not paying them the contract to come rebuild the facilities. We're not paying them to put this in. So they've done their work. So they're not telling us that so they can get an HVAC job or an electrical job. It's their job to get the actual facts for us, and they did. Current floor framing does not meet current design loads. Okay? So if we go to, again, it's important to note that it meets the requirement from when it was built, so it's acceptable, but the new codes are different now, so if we do a major rehab, we have to bring it up to current code. Just a fact that need to be pointed out. The building's not built, coastal areas now, buildings have to be 120-mile-an-hour winds for hurricanes. They're guessing we're 90 at best, but there was no way to prove exactly where they were. We're not exceeding that, but they're guessing up to 90. Again, it's a 40-year-old structure. Most of the mechanical equipment has passed its useful life, and the electrical side, most of the panels and wiring need to be replaced. Order properly addressed correction recommendations identifying the report. Major renovation or total replacement is their recommendation. In doing so, major renovation will require the closing of the facility due to the extensive work that needs to be accomplished. It should be closed for all the work to be, it's just so much to do, you're gonna have to close it and gut it, basically. Based upon our findings, and this was interesting, knowledge of the construction practices and probable construction cost analysis, it is our recommendation that the Ocean Pine Association consider total replacement of the facility rather than major renovation. The cost of the new construction only exceeds the cost of a major renovation by 10 to 15%. But the advantages of new construction go far beyond. The cost is 10 to 15% more just based on the amount of work that needs to be done. And when you do it, when you do the major renovation or the reconstruction versus trying to renovate it, you're able to go, everything's brand new. So you've got a longer life expectancy. You're working on everything, you all know, I don't have to tell you, you're new versus replacement costs. You know, it's like buying your car. Do you put a new paint job, put some new tires on it, put the new hoses on it, and then hope it gets you a little further? Or do you, at some point, you got to make the decision it's time to buy a new car. Kind of a smaller thing, but probably an easier analogy to explain. Okay, by demolishing the entire structure, the existing timber pile foundation can be salvaged. There are parts under there. After you go, and this is where we've done some work, you can go about 18 inches, some is 24, under the, if you crawl under there, and you think of a piling coming out of the ground, and you were dig down 24 inches, some of it's 16, 18, just depending on the piling. There's rot to that point, and then from there down, the piling is solid. What we did last year was we took 3 of them. Remember we talked about sistering it up before? We did last year with 3 of the pilings that were identified as issues, dug around them, sistered them up, bolted them together, we get 3 years out. An engineer came out and said, here's the way you can get conditions on it. So there are parts of the below grade pilings that are down that are salvageable if we choose to salvage them. Okay. Just as that's my quick break to get some water. So we thought about it, but I think didn't you say you want to get back to see the president or something? Who? Probably. I didn't mean to go political. I apologize.
I know where you live.
Okay, there's no food under there, I promise. Okay, so I pointed out, and again, it's a real quick recap of the structural side of the house. I can share as many details. You can look at the reports. They're available to you, okay? I just want to give you a recap of what was accomplished from the structural side. Now, when you're looking at how we're going to use the facility, we need to start thinking of some other parts. If we're going to recommend rebuilding a facility, I need to have strong reasoning to tell you why rebuild, rehab, and what we're going to do better than we have in years past. So, yes, ma'am.
Maybe it's not time for a question, but before you jump into why,
Mm-hmm.
shown us why we need to do it over again, rebuild and everything.
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
also showed us that not a lot of care was taken in these last 38 years to take care of our facility. If it's all ripped down and rebuilt, what are your plans? What's the process you're going to
You
follow?
are ahead of me a
Something
little
gonna
bit.
go
No, you're ahead of me. That was all right.
I'm like,
That was all right. Well, one of the things I mentioned, it's in the, I mentioned it past couple of board meetings, I mentioned one first to this presentation. If I'm going to ask for some community support to rebuild something, we should know, and that's part of what we're about to talk about, how we're going to use it moving forward, what type of focus we're going to have from an operational side, and then more to your question, how we're going to maintain it so 20, 30, 40 years
Right.
from now, we're not looking at each other going, what the heck did we do? Same thing again.
Exactly.
Okay? One of the things that I've recommended, and you know, I'll go over it right now just because I think it is important. It does deal with structural. One of the things that we've identified, when Kerry Nelson, the head of our public works, left, okay, Kerry did a great job for us. But what he did, more than just his job, he did a fantastic job cultivating his right-hand person, which was Eddie Wells. Eddie was able to step right up into the public works role when Kerry left. So when Kerry left, first thing, you know, questions like, well, how are you going to hire? What are you going to do? Well, if you can hire from within, and you've got someone, and that's where Kerry did a great job training him, making sure Eddie knew everything, his right-hand man was able to step up. What I didn't do was fill that position. That was by design. What I think we ought to do, and this is why I've recommended with that vacant position, is I'd like to fill the position with a facility engineer. I use that title. Facility engineers is kind of on a broad spectrum, but someone that actually looks at our facilities, designs a program, a maintenance program, and ensures we stay on the maintenance program. Coordinates with, not just with the Yacht Club or Country Club, with the roads planning. All the infrastructure, have a facility engineer, and again, pardon the facility part, but someone's got to, excuse me, training in that area to maintain, to put us on a plan, so we constantly take care of any new facilities, and we do our best with our existing facilities. So we have a plan, we know what preventative maintenance, we know what needs to be done. Someone brought up to me, well, it's better to hire out for that. You know, have someone come in periodically and inspect and have them check the facilities or maintain the plans. While I respect that position, okay, this person that we hire that's our person will know that, and they will hire the electrical inspector or whatever contractor we need. They'll maintain the records to say it's time to have this level inspection. Or, oh no, by the way, we can do a walkthrough inspection. It'll be that person's job to make sure we maintain or protect our investments, whatever they may be moving forward. Okay, does that answer? I didn't mean to go so deep. I have it highlighted, but very quickly in here. So.
No, but I'm a visual person too, and so
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, is somebody going to go underneath there periodically every year or so and make sure somebody hasn't pulled all the wires down? And
If it's new and we have someone maintaining and watching the work, we'll have someone. Give me an example. We send an HVAC or a plumber underneath to do some work, blow out the pipe, something. Any preventative maintenance. It would be this person's job to make sure it was done correctly, this person's job to take a look under there with a flashlight. Did they leave any debris? I can tell you some of the debris and stuff, the wire, contractor, and no disrespect, my dad's a contractor, under there doing work, they pitch it, and they keep working. Why pull it out? Who's ever gonna go under and look?
Right.
That's what this person will follow up to make sure that our investments are being protected. Okay? Any other on the structural side? Yes, sir. Nothing too tough, though.
Okay. The salvage of the pylons, I think that's a bad idea. I think they should be tore out and replaced with fiberglass. Then you have to use pylons for a foundation, to put a foundation on.
The recommendation, and I agree with you on that, by the way. The recommendation that we put together in concept is moving the building back and turning the building and moving it back. Couple of reasons. One, from a foundation standpoint, we can look at some other things. When you're that close to the water, it creates a different element that you have to be worried about when you're building or rebuilding. Second, I agree. I think we ought to be looking at a different foundation. I don't like the capping. Now, what they did do on the part that has the concrete, they did a very good job. They capped, and they took down the subgrade that wasn't working, and they basically capped it with concrete, you know, did the footer type thing on top. That works fine as well. So we could do that if we want to keep it in the same location. Yes, sir.
Since you answered questions already, I have two. I hope I'm allowed to do two at once.
Sure, as long as they're about this part.
Well, as far as what you presented.
Sure.
You talked about the cost to rebuild as opposed to renovation. You said there would be a savings by 10 or 15%. Is that right?
That's what AWB said, to completely rehab versus.
Okay, so that's comparing, taking the existing building with 3 stories and replacing that with another 3 stories as compared to renovating the 3 stories. It's not a comparison of taking the building a one-story building, that's a seasonal building, comparing that to building a three-story building. The 10 or 15% that you're talking about is replacing exactly what you have or renovating exactly what you have, not rebuilding a smaller structure and a seasonal structure. Am I correct?
To compare apples to apples, you would be correct. Like structure to like structure. I couldn't say 10 to 15 to build a 5,000 square foot versus the 15 we have. It's not a fair comparison. Like structure to like structure, you are accurate. Yes, sir.
One of the alternatives, which I guess we'll talk about later on,
Yes.
is not to replace the building as it is. At least that's how I feel, so I'll talk about that later on.
Sure.
The other question I had was in regard to codes. This is a question that was asked at the last meeting, big meeting that we had.
Yes.
And hopefully you have the answer. Somebody had pointed out that if they were renovating their home, okay, doing renovations, they would not change everything over to the new codes, okay? They would not be required by law to do that. We have pointed out that if you're doing a major renovation, we would be required, okay, to meter up the codes. Somebody asked at what point that was. We're going to look into it.
We did, and I'd love to tell you right now, and I honest to goodness, can't tell you off the top of my head. We're checking with the county. I don't have it. We will have that answer though. And I just need to make sure that we get that. Yes, sir.
Apart from possibly conducting tours of the basement of the yacht club, what difference does it make how many loose wires and things like that are left behind the previous contractors if they do not affect the safety and the structural ability, or whatever you call it, of the building? I mean, I realize neatness counts, but not when you're running the restaurant. We're look at our kitchens in the yacht club, you know what I mean?
Okay. What I would tell you, two-part. Okay, I give the conditions of what it looks like under there because I think it's important to understand what we're dealing with. Yet, moving that aside for a moment, the inspector's telling us the wiring, the plumbing, the HVAC are all well past their lifespan. If you go under and look at some of the plumbing components, we have copper tied to galvanized, tied to PVC. Part of the runs for the piping underneath doesn't get the angle that you need, so you have the flow of the water the way you're supposed to. So it's not just the trash that's under there, or the remains, or whatever we call it. I just point out that to me is a condition or an acceptance of average or below standard performance, which I don't accept. So if someone does work for us and leaves it, I have to question the quality of work they actually do.
I agree with you completely, but as Shakespeare said, the past is prologue. Now, the thing's obviously the jury rig, and that's the way to get the cheapest price on the job. And you get the guy bid just to pull out one section, put a new one, and he doesn't do an entire new section of pipe or whatever.
You're correct.
If it doesn't work properly, or if it's not safe, I'm all in favor of that. But to say it doesn't look good and continuously show us pictures of loose wires, doesn't impress me, frankly.
Okay, but it's a fact. I'm not trying to impress anybody.
Underneath his house looks like.
Okay, here's why.
My crawl space.
Well, here's what I can tell. My crawl space is spotless, but that's how I maintain my house.
Me too.
Now, how others do it is up. I'm not questioning how you maintain your crawl space. I can tell you, you can come to mine anytime. It's a condition, it's a philosophy, it's a mindset. I do not accept average or below average. I'm telling you the conditions under there are fair at best. And that's all I'm pointing out. And again, I didn't question past boards, past GMs, past maintenance, none of that. I'm just showing you what the conditions are. And if you crawl under there and you look at the wiring and the plumbing that we're using, you will not be impressed.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's looking so bad and so trashy. Get the maintenance crew out there and have them pull it out and throw it in the trash.
We could do that.
Yeah, we could.
Doesn't
So
fix,
why are we
doesn't
not
fix
doing
the
it?
problem,
I
man.
understand that,
Doesn't solve our problem right now. So okay,
but they could,
they could.
yeah.
Again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm giving you, again, obviously some are not gonna like what I say. I'm gonna give you the facts. All right, let's go on to the next step, and I'll stay, let me keep going. Yes, sir, I'll take one more, and then I want to keep moving.
I
'cause
think the whole thing it comes down to the structural integrity of that building is bad.
Yes,
Very
sir.
bad. And all the little, whether you've got wiring hanging or insulation, that's immaterial. It's the structural integrity of that building and it's bad that should come out.
Yes.
And we'll talk, and we're gonna talk more, and I appreciate that. All right, some other considerations we're looking at as we're using the facility, what we may use it for, those type of things. These came out of, this wasn't my report, so you can go back, 10-year task force, and Mr. Stevens, Mr. Duke put findings together out of the almost 18, 19 months work they did with their group, coming up with different things. These were part of what we considered, once we figured out what the structural integrity of the facility was, is what we used to say, okay, now in our minds, rehab, rebuild, what would we recommend? We had to go back and look at what they recommended for use. Again, we didn't go back, why recreate it? Why have to second guess it? We used what worked that was already there for us. These are just some, I'm gonna just put them up real quick. These are things that came out of their report after 18, 19 months of work, working with a lot of different people in the community of their recommendations of what to do moving forward. Dance floor, upper story view, formal entrance and reception, bathrooms suitable for dressing, weddings, those type of events, bride's changing room, powder rooms. And I found out there is no groom's room. They're all brides changing suites. I was, when we were going through and doing some of this, someone said, oh, it's not groom's room, it's all brides. Okay, sorry. Architect pointed that out to me.
They don't have rooms anymore.
Hey, well, I'm not sure what they call them, but indoor, outdoor area for photography, inside, outside areas for couples to take vows. Again, these are right out of their reports, not my words. We just use information. We have so many reports and things over the years. Use that information. Physical and sound separation for catering, casual dining. Catering is a desired amenity, or a use of our amenity here. Facility designed to serve over 200. Provides features desirable for weddings. Yacht Club is the best venue for catering. Yacht Club's second floor accommodates 200. And again, these are out of the report. I'm not saying good or bad. These are facts that we took into consideration when we came up with our concept design. Turn grill, that was something for, when I first rolled this out, we were talking about how we use our facilities in a more holistic approach, not just this piece of Ocean Pines. How's that going to work with this and this and this, and do it in a way that doesn't sabotage or take away from another, that helps feed into it. And that's where we looked at some of those when we were looking at, and that was those type of comments out of the Stevens Duke report made us to make sure we stayed on track thinking about that. Large events, other considerations, single level deck, relocating the bar to better utilize the space. View is highly desirable, however obstructed by the townhomes. If you all recall, when it was first built, there were no townhomes that surrounded it. So there's some obstruction there. Air handlers are in need of repair. That was the big battleship air handler. Yacht Club design is provide full service bar and restaurant operations for a period of May through September, available during off season for smaller catered events. These were items that came out of other people's work. They weren't ours. Okay, these were just some facts that they pointed out, which helped us in our thought process. Rebuild, rehab, if we're going to do either, even if it's a rehab, what do you do? What should it look like when we're finished, how we're going to use it? So we used a lot of that. Then I have folks that are saying, well, we don't need to spend the money to do that. We don't know how we're using it. It's not working. So I'm going to walk you through this season a little bit so you understand some of the dramatic changes we've seen there that not everyone notices. I do, because that's what I have to look at every day, every week, every month. Total revenues at the Yacht Club have spiked up higher than they've ever done before. Okay? When we started out last season, we said we're going to do some modest renovations downstairs, and we're going to put a lot of effort to drive business back to the Yacht Club. The question then was, will people come back and use the facility? Have we had so many years of average, mediocre, unsatisfactory either conditions, cleanliness, service standards, whatever it may be, to drive enough people away where they're not going to come back? Okay, I disagree. I don't think that's the case. And when we put our marketing effort towards it, we found people were willing to come back and use the club. In numbers, our numbers that looked extremely good were regular food and regular beverage, higher than we'd ever seen them. Someone said, well, if you take the total revenues, what about the net? I know that's an argument. The net's the same graph. I mean, you net it out, everything stays similar in tracking. Okay, I just want to point that out. This is important. This goes into the mindset of what do we do moving forward. Do we spend any money to rehab, rebuild? I mean, we've got to have some sort of baseline to figure out if it's worth even going down the path. Expenses. This is where we didn't do a good job this year. Notice that line looks identical as the revenue side. We didn't manage our expense side of the house well. Our labor costs and our food costs were way too high compared to industry standards. We didn't do a good job managing the back side of it. What we did an excellent job was driving opportunity to have folks come back and use the facility. And it shows in our numbers. This is where we need to work. This is where we've made some steps this year to make some changes to make sure we're managing that different. Regular food, regular beverage, we broke it down so you can see the two together. This is this year, this season. We're far ahead of any good or great year we had before, far ahead of it. It's not because we were so excellent in what we did. What we did was a good job, and it showed our residents want to come back. It's your facility. You want to have a good place to go have a meal, have a drink, have a soda, whatever it is. And our residents showed us that this year. That was a positive. That's what our focus was. Banquet and food, banquet business. I don't know if you noticed, here's where we are. Last year was horrible, this year wasn't much better. We did not go after banquet business this year. Wasn't part of our marketing strategy. It was something that we knew that was out there, but if you recall, somewhere in this time frame, Ford decided we're going to close down and rehab or rebuild. So banquets just disappeared. You know, people didn't schedule far out. Well, in September of last year, okay, not September 3 months ago, September the year before, I went to the board and said, look, we need to find a way, we need to change the impression so we can start getting back to some banquet business, just some events, activities. We had a little comeback, but what we didn't do was put all our marketing effort into driving that type of business. Our first focus was regular food, regular beverage, the regular day-to-day, and we showed we could do that. So moving forward, if we're going to improve where we are, we recognize this is a big area that we need to focus on. The budget this year is built around continuing that positive focus on the regular food and beverage business, but putting a pinpoint accuracy on banquets as well. When we did that, we started talking about business planning, things we need to improve this year. We made significant changes this year. We made some changes to the facility, changes to the attire, changes to the cleanliness. What we didn't do, food costs, labor costs. There were two we just didn't do well. You can see it month after month. We also tried to put a focus, I'm going to show you a couple other things we're focused on this year, but we tried to do some focus on some different type of menu items, different type of, we built the beach out there. And folks are saying, wow, he's lost his mind, spent all that money. We got $3 or $4 grand in the beach. It wasn't terribly expensive to do. What we didn't do there, which was extremely disappointing to me, we didn't offer service out there. How do you build something? I had calls in my office. People call me, I can't, there's nowhere to sit, and they're not letting us sit outside in the beach area. We had staff refusing to wait on people in the beach area. They didn't want sand in their shoes. How does that happen? Help me on, we're a service industry. We built it so folks could be there. We just didn't do it. Okay? Well, another thing we're trying to do is we're trying to do a different type of focus on seafood. We're at the beach. People are coming down. We get 20,000+ people on a big weekend down here, and then some, visitors, friends, relatives. Why send them to Ocean City or West Ocean City if they can stay right here? I just don't understand that. So we tried to make that happen this year. It just didn't happen to the level that I would have expected to see. That's part of our business plan. We're building it. Someone asked, well, your business plan isn't complete. It's not. I'll tell you why it's not complete. We haven't hired a new food and beverage manager yet. I don't want to complete a plan and have someone come in that has experience in that, and they look at the plan and go, oh, God, you missed it by this, or you should have included that. I want to get someone in, and we're getting resumes. I've been meeting with people. I want to get someone in with the experience that can help build the new business plan together. I want that person to have ownership in the business plan. Because guess what? They're going to be held responsible to meet it. Every other department here has. If they can't perform above the level of where they were, they're probably not staying to play any longer. And we've had changes there. But our departments are performing better. This is a biggie for us. This is one that has a lot of intense focus right now. And it should. I can't come to you guys and say, help me put money together to rebuild a yacht club and not bring better operational results. It doesn't make sense. So we're focused on it. Existing yacht club, just so we have some points, so everybody understands. That's what the square footage on the existing yacht club is. I mean, if you break the first, second, and third floor. New conceptual facility. Slightly smaller, primarily in a heated and cooled space. Again, we're in a conceptual stage. That's why you're here tonight. I'm kind of giving you the background because I want to make sure everyone's up to the same speed when we're talking about the facilities, the do's, the don'ts, the wishes, the wants. Here's the yacht club area, okay? One of the things that we talked about in June, and one of the things I look at, I don't just look at the yacht club or the country club or the pool or individual pieces. I try to look at it as how it fits together with the rest of the association. It's important to do that. So we operate under the campus concept. This is the yacht club campus for us. It's inclusive of 2 pools, the marina, and the yacht club. How are they operating? They should not be operating completely separate from one another. They should be feeding off one another in a way. They should work in a synergistic way so they help one another grow, whatever that means for that particular area. In this case, okay, adult pool, family pool, okay, marina area, and then our club. What we're looking at when we look at this facility is how do we tie all this together in a way that becomes a destination. When you come, whether it's as a family to the pool, whether it's to come sit out at the adult pool or enjoy some of the entertainment, or pull your boat up and hopefully come in and get a bite to eat, fill up, park, and come get a bite to eat. Why we don't do that, I don't understand, but that's part of our concept when we're looking at planning, trying to drive that type of business unlike we've ever done before. Just these were some of the older pictures we had. I just included them. There was one on here, actually, when you're saying the conditions under the structure. There's a screwdriver that was just walked up. You can jam it right into the building. That's not unusual in many spots of the building. And then, I'm not going to tell you, but you all can probably guess what that is under some parts of the building. No one's seen mold grow. There you go. Rotted, where it's wet and damp. And we've cleared and taken that stuff out. We've fixed those areas. But that's not unusual with the dampness and the water setting as opposed to getting away from the building like it should. Yes, sir.
Can I ask questions before you get into the business plan?
You can, sure.
Okay.
Nothing too hard.
Yeah, no, well, see, I don't think we have a business plan on what we want to be. I guess my question is, and it's not rhetorical, and it is, why we're going to build a new yacht club and have a restaurant that never makes any money? If I'm running a business, which I have, this right now couldn't afford itself. It couldn't pay for itself. So we're giving it a building and then say, make a profit. And it should be easy to make a profit. They don't have to pay for the building, okay? Having discussed what we want the restaurant to be, we talk about, well, we always did catering, we always did a restaurant. That's not the question. The question is, what do we want? What can make the most money? Do we want a sports club? Do we want fine dining? Do we want special events, what you call catering? Do we want breakfast, lunch only? Do we want sandwich food and all just to take care of the pool areas? You know, these are questions that I would put in a business plan.
And they're in the business plan.
Well, I don't know. You just said we haven't done a business plan for the
My
restaurant.
goodness, so we're working on a business plan.
Yeah,
It's
but
not finished.
yeah, but you want to build a place to say, you know, this is where this is the place it's going to be. Now we'll build a business plan. You should build a business plan first and say this is what we want to be, and this is a facility that'll take care of that plan. I just believe that there's some more work to be done on a business plan on what you're going to run, what you want to have in the yacht club before you build the yacht club. Because, I mean, when you build it, then you say, the plan will have to fit the yacht club, because we already have it. So it's just, my point is, I've done a lot of business plans, and half of them, I have to admit, have just become ballast on a sailboat. Most of them are, 10-year plans, there aren't any. All I'm saying is that, what do we want to be? Do we want to compete with all the restaurants that are around here? Do we want fine dining? Or do we want a sports pub? What do we want to be? And to me, that would dictate what kind of yacht club you have. And I would agree with you, 5,000%. Build a new one. I guarantee you, if you try to retrofit, it'll cost you way more. My son's in the development business, and Murphy was an optimist. I guarantee you, anything you try to do retrofit, it'll cost you 50% more than you think it will. So yes, you should build a new one. But before you build it, you ought to say, here's what I want in there. This is what we want. This will make money. This will be what we want. This will take the needs of the community and fit those needs, and then build the building.
I obviously didn't explain it well enough a few minutes ago. I did say we were doing it. I may not have said it clear enough. We have probably a business plan that's 60, maybe 70% complete. I didn't finish it yet because I'd like to get a food and beverage manager in to help assist us in completing that. You have a lot of the elements you just spoke about already laid out, to include the identified restaurants in our area as our competition, to include what I think we ought to be when we grow up. But it would be a little naive or a little bit too egotistical of me, not being a food and beverage manager, to assume I could do that completely myself. So when we hire someone with the energy, the understanding and knowledge that's higher than mine, they can sit down and we go, yes, here's how we're going to finish this. Again, they'll have buy-in, they'll have the knowledge to help us get to that level of exactly what you're referring to. Now, to go a step further, that will happen long before we do anything new to this facility. That's going to happen between now, April, May timeframe. I said a few minutes ago, I'm interviewing people now, and they're going to help us complete that. Whether we build a structure, rehab, or whatever, we still need to build the business plan that should support a positive operation.
And
So I agree with you.
Well, I agree, but I guess what I'm saying is that business plan drives the building.
I disagree with that.
Well,
And here's why. Respectfully. Have you ever been to Grove Market?
no, I've been-
Okay, no, and not being smart. Some people, Grove Market, anyone here owns it, not to be disrespectful, it's a dive. Yet you can't get in. People are, there's a waiting list, you have to call or know somebody or be far enough in to get in. The facility doesn't make doesn't make you money and it doesn't make you operational. Two separate things for me. The condition of the facility, the current condition is what it is. If we're going to have a facility, it needs to be safe, sound, and in good condition.
Mm-hmm.
That's separate from the operational side, which is what we're building.
I think we're talking past each other. I'm not talking about the operation, I'm talking about what do you want it to be should drive what you build, that's all
That
I'm
would
saying.
be part of the operation, would it not?
Well, it'll be your business plan.
Okay, I think we're agreeing. I'll be happy to sit with you later and show you where we are and get any positive input I can have.
Well, I'm telling you, if I went to a board of directors and told them, I'm building this building, and then later on I get a business plan and tell us what's gonna be in that building, they say, come back when you're through.
You're right, we're missing. You and I can sit offline, I'll show it to you. We're in agreement more than you may realize, sir. I may not be communicating it well. I'll go here and I'll come back to you. Yes,
Just a comment, if other people are commenting, could they use the microphone? Some of us are having trouble hearing the comments from the audience. That's why I'm shouting.
all right.
And if they could identify themselves.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have any more slides left. Let me finish these, and then we'll get the mic out, and we'll just open it up for any questions, any input. No, that's good, because I talk loud enough, plus I got the mic. So. Just so you know, this was a facility that was proposed coming out of the 10-year task force. So as it didn't see it, we made sure, we have some plans and some sketches on it. So we kept that in consideration when we were looking. This was a different picture of it. Okay, and these are available. I can show you the pictures. They're on boards, not unlike these. When we looked at this, we said, okay, moving forward, knowing all the pieces, knowing the operational side, knowing what we believe we want to be when we grow up, here's a facility that we felt, from a conceptual standpoint, would work for us. I keep saying the word conceptual, okay, because I've had some people come in mad about one thing or the other. There's no reason to be mad or upset. This is discussion time. This is when we throw ideas out there. We need to talk about what's the highest and best use. Is it better to make a smaller facility, a taller facility, a wider facility, a thinner? I don't care. We just need to get on and making a decision. What are we going to do? Okay, so that's part of what this is. Our concept, we're standing in the water, if you're looking at the facility, just to give you some perspective. What we did was take a one-story building, not unlike the Shark in West Ocean City, elevated. Okay, that's what our concept's designed around. We following the Stevens Duke report, following a lot of the activities that we had success with this year, folks wanted to be outside on the deck. I don't know if those that went saw the Adirondack chairs that we put out on the water side. First night, we had complaints, not enough chairs. 2 nights later, we doubled it, still had complaints, not enough chairs outside. I mean, just from that, people like to sit out there, have a cocktail, look at the water. It's one of the most scenic sites in the area, so I understand why. But it was just a high-use area. People like to be outside in that relaxed atmosphere, listening to music, having a drink, having decent food, those type of things. So that seems to work. Also, if you look at, I go back to what I was saying, how we're operating our facilities. Do we do a year-round facility here? Do we do one there? If we're looking long-term, and we're looking at yacht club, country club, looking at how they would work with one another, part of this concept was built around, this is our seasonal, our May to September with a little bit on the shoulder seasons, maybe April into October, depending on weather, where this is full tilt, wide open, as active as we can be. But in the wintertime, when it's cold and the wind's coming off the bay, we shut down and we start migrating our regular residents, which a lot of you who are here today would be our regular residents. You would start going with this concept potentially to the country club because we would have had some changes there. Now, had some folks say, well, we're not going to do anything with the country club. Okay, that's fine. Then we keep the upstairs open. I'm not opposed to more business, but I'm trying to look at how they work together, what type of synergistic activity they have, because we can't have 2 competing elements. It just doesn't make sense. So that's what you're looking at. So from the first floor, you've got 2 towers. This basically a bar for downstairs, bar for upstairs, second floor. And again, they're all up on the wall, and I'll go into a little more detail on these. This is open, so it feeds right out to the deck area. Top view is where the current pool sits. This is where taking the building, okay, lifting it up, turning it slightly, and when I say the turn is when you're looking out the second floor, instead of looking right at the condos, the building's angled where it looks right down the path of the waterway. Now, does it mean when you turn this way and this way you lose the condos? No. But if we're going to rebuild, let's turn it so we get the best visual opportunity that we have there. Even with the condos there, I think it's still a beautiful place to sit and have a sandwich. Okay? By moving it back, we also get to capitalize on some more open deck area out on the water side where people like to be.
How far back?
That's what we have to figure out. FEMA, there's a number of things, and we're looking at that. There's also a component here. This white is where our gas, they're above ground, which is a plus, but we have the gas pumps that feed the marina. The advantage we have is they are above ground, so moving them is not as difficult. I was worried they were going to be the in-ground old tanks, and that would become a big problem for us. They're not. They're above ground. So we've got to look at that. We didn't get to that point yet by design. We're not there. We're still conceptual. Okay? Okay, and I know it's hard to see. Okay, I just point out some elements, but they're all right here. Okay, and we're going to turn the lights on and talk about them, and we can talk as much as you want about them, pros and cons. Basically, you come in, and what we try to do when we were looking at coming up with themes and ideas, try to pull elements from different parts that we like, different parts where we saw things that we made sense to us to help put us into this mode. Basically, second floor, you come in, elevator, steps from either way, come down the main hallway, second floor. This side, okay, are the bathrooms. I know it's hard to see, but when you come down the hallway, you have bathrooms. Doors are here. Male and female side. The reason the female side is bigger, because they deserve more.
Yes.
How'd I do?
That was good.
And right here If you notice, the door on the back of both of the restrooms opens up to a bridal changing suite. If we're going to use it for catering, weddings, those type of things. Okay? It's something that has been requested over and over. We put it there. You come down the hallway, the yellow part, service area, kitchen area. Okay? Mechanical's the blue. And again, you can walk up and look at all of them when we're done. The red area is the dining area. It's a big open area. Approximate seating is 200. I say approximate. We have enough space to go up or down a little bit there. These are big round top tables. Not that I agree that we always have to have round top tables, because I think that really takes away from the atmosphere. When someone comes in, a couple or four come in to have dinner, you got to sit at a 6 or 8 top or 10 top table like we do now. That just doesn't make sense. But from a design standpoint, to make sure we have enough room to seat the 200 catering, weddings, knowing you can pare it down as small as you want to. This gray area here, okay, is right off the main dining area. It's storage. Right now, we have to take the tables, roll them to an outside storage area when we break down or set up for catering events and or dining, different sizes. Why you want your equipment stuff outside, I don't know. I guess it was just part of the design at the time. We put a storage area right here, right off the main dining room. That comes around the facility for all the second floor, and a bar that feeds right into the second floor. Okay? This side becomes the tower element, entrance, exit, emergency entrance, exit. You can also use it as just a stairway. Small office in the center of that tower, because you need to have an office manager, food and beverage manager there. That's pretty much it on the second floor. These are some elements when you come in. I'd love to try to sell you, going, look at these pictures, because I'm excited about the way these look inside, but you guys aren't going to be able to see it from the distance. So when we get up here, you're welcome to look. But it's a very open floor plan. Part of the thought process there can be designed. Those of you who have eaten at De Novo's, on the left side as you're looking at the front of the building, when you go, if you go to the back to use the restroom, they have a folding, it's a 4 folding element, a divider. We envision a number of those dividers that we can pull out to create special elements or larger elements as we see fit. We need to have a space that we're able to utilize at different levels. We think we can get more activity and be more customer service if we have the ability to do those. I say theirs, not they're using it to block the kitchen entrance, but it's a nice heavy, and it's on a little casters. I mean, I went over and looked at, oh, that's kind of neat. I mean, I've seen the little ones that are less expensive, but something nice like that. Let me finish now, answer any questions, please.
I just want to know if that was a 360 bar, circle bar.
Here? Yes.
Sit around?
Yes, all the way around. All right, downstairs, this is where the controversy comes in. Okay, it's where people are back and forth. Now, I've got a couple board members that are just, they were all over me with this. Now, the upside for me, though, we're creating enough activity and energy, we get enough folks out to want to talk about it. This is our first step if we're going to make anything happen, is talking about it. Element downstairs is designed to be open. The reason it's designed to be open, it's cheap to operate. Okay, we don't have to heat and cool the space. I envision a 12 to 14 foot ceiling, looking at the big Casablanca type of fans that are coming down from the ceiling. Underneath this whole section is the terracotta tiles, okay? And we see if you've ever seen Florida, they have a lot of them, the mister elements that shoot that little bit of mist out, and with the fans going, it actually cools the area off, you know, dramatically. And it's economical, and it meets the whole beach theme, okay, just as a concept.
Very nice.
Okay. The other thing down there that we talked about was using the ferns, the potted plant type of elements, and Teresa has some here. I'm looking at some that aren't as sparse as that. But it's the time of year, okay? But the big green leafy that we're able to take into consideration. You're down with your family, you want to come, and you want to have 8 of you come down and have dinner. We can create some intimate elements with these areas. Move tables, move some of the ferns around, create a space for you when you make the reservation. Do some things like that that are economical, but they're fun and they're cheap to operate. Okay, yeah, hold on to them. I'm almost done with this, and then I'll answer any questions, I promise. Downstairs in this corner, the red, we currently have a harbor master, you know, where we do our dock. We have the little gray building there. That would disappear. We'd incorporate it as part of this complex. This area here, which is directly down the corner of the building, this is a cooking element. An indoor-outdoor type kitchen element with We envisioned, I'm trying to think of the name right now. I want to say Anderson, but that's not right. There's new cooking elements. A lot of the chefs, if you read a lot of the books on it, and I'm trying to get smarter for the business planning, a lot of the searing the food, tuna, any of the fishes, any of the meats on like an open grill type of element. That's what the design thought is here. The other thing with the building picked up and turned a little bit, it's closer to the Mumford's pool. This side is deliberately left open because we want to encourage folks that either are down there with kids, excuse me, or they want to send little Johnny down to get a hamburger, hot dog, or whatever during the day. They would just walk down the path, and we envision an element of a pier type, you know, with the, from the pool there, so they can walk right down and get a hot dog or a hamburger or a sandwich, instead of always having to figure out buying something out of the vending machine. Just doesn't make sense. We have a full kitchen over there, 2 of them right now. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice, and some of you will think that's good. You know who you are. Let's see, what else? Downstairs, bathrooms, almost identical to the ones upstairs, at least. Not the changing rooms, but the purple area matches upstairs. If you match it directly underneath, it's economical when you build. The plumbing, everything, it's just a cheaper way to do it. And you also, this area becomes open because you have all this deck area around, and when we get to one of the other shots, you'll see a little more of it. That deck area, you're going to need a place to have a restroom. This area, by moving the building, the gray area becomes the delivery. One side, think of this as a 2-car garage, just for visually without the doors. Becomes a loading dock, and one of them becomes a half. And please, they're separated, so don't think trash and food coming in are in the same. There is a separation there. But why have those elements? One of the first things you see when you pull up together your car to go into the yacht club, you see the dumpsters. Same way at the country club, by the way. The first thing you see are dumpsters. And I kind of scratch my head and go, wow, not what we want to be putting out there as a first visual when you're coming to have dinner. Just not. So we've thought about a lot of those things. Again, it's a concept. We're open for interpretation. We've had some great input that helped us get to this point, and we're looking for some more input to go to the next level. Conceptually, there's a number of things you can do, but this is parking lot side when you're looking in. The reason it's up a little, and we mentioned the pilings and where the building has to sit, if you look at the FEMA regulations and you look at, depending on how far off the water you are, how high the building is, one of the things we want to try to make sure that we do is keep an even element without stairs coming out from under the building to the water type of area. We don't want tripping or stumbling hazard. Okay, it's better to try to, excuse me, keep it as level as you can. So that's why we're just trying to do some concepts here. This is the water side. Okay, if you were at Osprey Point condos, this is what you'd see from that angle of the facility. This was an element the architect had put in for me. Top down water, we'd parasailing from the water side. Couldn't really parasail, but if you could right here, we're hovering over the docks looking at the open deck area in front of the water side of the building. We think that's where we're going to get the most bang for the buck.
What's the little, is that just a little gazebo up front? Is it right there?
Yes, good question. I'm going to hold that thought for a second. If this one doesn't show, one of them does. I'm going to show you something which was an important element for me. Gazebo here, let me see if the other one's on here. All right, let me just show you something with the gazebo. I'm glad you pointed that out. Hang on. Okay. There's your gazebo. See the chairs? Okay. This element was in the original drawing, which was on the plan. We actually want to move that element to this gazebo area. See the chairs? Architect made the change for me, but he didn't pick the gazebo up and put it in the other place. Reason for that, we're getting more and more weddings. We've got folks that want to come up by boat and get married. Well, the challenge that creates for us, middle of the summer, and we have things going on out here, and it's lovely to see a wedding, the whole 9 yards, but the bride doesn't want to be competing with the band or whatever else is going on. It's just not going to work. By moving it to this side, and we have some spacing if we do some arrangement here correctly, this becomes a separate dining area, a separate wedding area, all kinds of other activities. Again, economical, it's an outside deck, but you put the little gazebo element that's there to this side, and you've got a really nice spot where you can have those type of events, and it's economical. It's just space at that point. Okay.
Where would be the outdoor entertainment area?
Well, that's the really neat part of the facility from the design. You have the opportunity, right on the other side of this is an open area to the underneath. This whole area is open underneath, and this space here is actually a little wider. He was putting another tiki bar in. We had talked about what we're going to do with the pool element. So you have so much space around here. We envision you can put it here or on this side, or you can even put it here. The challenge is putting your back to the water. There's so many spaces there that we can do it now. By moving the building back and shifting, it opens it all up instead of being in that tight square area that we have now between the pool and the building. It just opens it up for so many, and every person I've talked to that either owned a restaurant, I looked at it and said, oh, I do it here. Everyone's got a different way of doing it. The neat part is that's good for us. You know, we can do it in a number of ways. Great question. All right, just some real quick last minute, and I'll come back to these. Yeah, just bear with me 1 second, okay? These are the things we've done so far, because I know we're going to have a lot of questions. So let me just run these. Engineering studies, business plans almost done. Design concepts, we've already done those. Share the plan with the membership. We started doing that. This is a full rollout, so everyone can look at, talk about. Followed up with the board, did a Q&A. Board guidance next step. They encouraged us to have these type of, have this continuing dialogue. We're soliciting community input now. From there, sometime in the early spring, March, April timeframes, potentially when we could, once we get the design full out, we could potentially go to drawings where we can get real pricing. No need to go to referendum or say, here's what it is if we don't have good, solid pricing. We get estimates based on square footage, which you can do. Then the board would decide if they want to pursue the project or not. Then it goes to referendum. That's when you guys decide if you want to pursue it or not. Construction phase, we could effectively begin in the fall. Realistically, it would be very end of the year as we turn the corner into next year. Just from a timing. Construction phase could also be considered permitting. Yeah, it's part of construction. So we could start September, October for permitting, but not do any real breakdown or anything until after that. Funding, very quickly. Here's where some numbers came in. Per price square foot for a new facility, $235. The building you're in was $137. So when people say, oh, you're too low, build this building $137, just as a food for thought in comparison. So 235 times 10,673 is $2.5 million. What I want to make sure I point out and stress on that, okay? I'm not trying to go fast to deceive you or hide it. These are facts. They've been out in the paper forever now. This is for the facility. It does not include all the deck area around the outside of the facility. And if we did any alterations to the pool, if we did any, I mentioned the walkway to the Mumfords. Doesn't include that. This is a facility of 10,600 square feet. The cost of that facility itself is approximately $2.5 million using 235.
Furnished?
Not furnished, structure itself. Pool cost, and again, I included this, and some folks are like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, raises the price. I'm all about sharing everything. You need to see it, it's your money. Okay? $2.5 million for the structure itself. 600 is something that's been in the budget, something set aside to redo the pool area over there. For those that don't know, at the Yacht Club pool, the pump house is below grade. When it rains and stuff, it gets water in it. It's not a good situation. Needs to be changed anyway. There's money set aside to redo that, the whole deck area. We chose not to do it this year, knowing there's an opportunity to do something like this. Why would you do one piece if you don't know how it fits in a big puzzle? We need to make sure we understand the big puzzle before we start taking major $600,000 expenditures. That's why we didn't do it this year. Reserve set aside, $600,000. Funded by, these were just potential funding solutions. 1.5 funded out of the reserve account, $1 million out of borrowing power. These were just elements the board told me to come up not only with what we could potentially do, but I can't just say here's what we can do and not put any thought into the financing solution. So that's what we did. Some key points, business Execution of formal business plan, it is something we're working on. It will be complete for this summer operation regardless of what we do to the facility. Yacht Club primary operations seasonal capacity, I pointed that out because that's following some of the last things. Now, if we don't do anything with the country club, we just say, no, that's out, we don't want to do it, this would potentially become more than just seasonal, which I'm okay with. Okay, okay either way. Facility engineer, we talked about that earlier. I think it's critical moving forward with any of our structures. Unique financing, we tried to come up with some financing solutions that did not have a significant impact on the assessment. I think it's important. We have some money already put aside. We can look at some financing power. Operationally, step one, determine safety and soundness of the facility. We've already done those. Hire a food and beverage manager. We're actively soliciting for that now. Continue development of the business plan. Again, I agree with the gentleman in front. It's critical to move forward. We have to have that completed. In the business plan, we've already got some ideas of who we want to be when we grow up. When we get the right partner from the facility, or from the food and beverage manager, we'll finalize that. I have some strong ideas of exactly what we should be. I'm just not egotistical quite enough to say it's exactly where we should be. I think we ought to get some input from others. Complete the work, and then market the daylights out of it, which we did a great job this year, and that's why the regular beverage went through the roof. Monitor and evaluate the results. We've done it all year. We've done it, and that's why we've made the process and the changes. If you've watched the changes we've made at the Yacht Club, from the facility to the cleanliness, to what they wear, to the personnel, we're taking slow, steady, gradual steps. We're not going to be able to turn the facility around in one season. We've got 30 plus years of not operating efficiently, of not producing a good, strong product, a good service standard that our residents deserve. It's going to take more than a season to turn it around. We've done a lot this year, but we have a lot more to do. Priorities, owners, residents, guests, additional opportunities, boaters, clubs, non-residents. So these are all in the business plan. I'm just pointing them out. Develop the plan, create a new reason to visit the Yacht Club, differentiate ourselves from the others. These are all elements out of the business plan. View, location, year-round population. We feel these are the things that really make us special. You have to figure out what differentiates us from our competition. These are some of the elements. Provide quality products with consistency. We need to train our employees. We have no solid training plan for our employees. That doesn't make, again, there are things there I kind of scratch my gut. How do you run a business if you don't have a training plan? Again, we already have one. We're working closely with the Billy Casper folks, our partners with the golf side, to get a lot of their info. They're helping us develop the training plan, which is great. I mean, that's what a good partnership is. So we've started on that, developed the plan, create partnership opportunities with local, we did a lot of pastries and desserts. We teamed up with Bagels Inn. We don't need to be the end-all be-all. We can work with partners in the area so everyone wins. And so you ultimately get a good quality product each and every time. Fast, reliable internet access, we put that in. A lot of people love that. We saw a lot of people come in early in the morning, break out their laptop to start their day, and get their, whatever their daily work or activities were. It worked out very, very well. Great environment as a social gathering place. That's been focused on. Staff development, evaluation of all current staff positions, attitude and ability. You can't train attitude. You just can't. Okay, you can try to realign it, but if people got poor attitude, I'm not going to wait outside because I'm not going to wait in the sand. Are you kidding me? Thank you, last day, get your paycheck Friday. Simple, okay? But we've just never done that. We've accepted average. We no longer accept that. Provide product and customer service training. We have a training manual. I said we're developing, we're working on. We think it's going to be important for this year. Develop a secret shopper team. One of the things we want to do this year, and we started developing the framework for it last year, is solicit people in the community that will come out, go out and shop for us. A lot of volunteers have come out. And we'll ask you to go out and rate our service. We'll end up comping the meal, just so you know. Okay? But before you hang me, it's going to be at a limit. You can't go spend $200 for, okay? Yacht Club, multiple choices for dining. We found, despite what some folks say, we've got a lot of people like the coffee house concept in the morning. We need to continue to expand. The pastries and those type of things went extremely well. especially coffee drinks, and if you look at any industry standards, and again, this is where I like to do research. One of the things that helped McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Royal Farms, coffee sales. 54% of citizens drink coffee. It just, and I'm not a big coffee drinker, so I'm talking, I'm not a golfer, but it's, here are things we did. Local artists, poetry readings is something we didn't do this year, but we looked at. Just ways to drive more activities to our club. Acoustic artists, we had several come in, big hits. We filled the place when we had those. One guy or gal with a guitar in the corner. Very economical, gives them a great stage, and people loved it. Done a very good job driving that, putting it out there. Got very, very active on Facebook, Twitter. I don't know what it is for sure, but I know it's a social networking site. Okay. I promise, I'm really. You may be, but I'm not.
This is supposed to be a conceptual presentation.
Sir.
We're going into more detail than if you were going to start a new business from scratch and go after an additional public offering from Wall Street.
Okay,
This
sir.
has nothing to do with whether we go a new
Sir, you're
yacht club or we have the president. Thank you, I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Looks like it was written by a bridal consultant.
Okay. All right. The lunches have worked out extreme. We're pointing out things that work because this is what goes into the concept of what we think we ought to build moving forward. Whether people disagree or not, I'm going to press because this is what helps us build the facility or rehab, whatever the case may be. These worked. We found this to be very, very good. We actually, the lunch business really picked up. We found the light lunches and stuff work very well, and that goes into part of our business planning, critical for whatever we do moving forward. Fresh fruits and salads and wraps, big hit. Those that came, complimented, they like that. That all goes into the theme, which feeds into the design of the structure. Types of food, seafood was a focus. We need a signature item. Again, part of the business planning as we move forward. The lounge became, and again, I point these out because when we're building a new facility or redesigning, we have to think of the elements that would go into it. We found things that worked, we found things that did not. The lounge part worked at night. People like that atmosphere, so we're trying to keep that in mind when we're looking at the new concept. The desserts worked. The display of the desserts worked. We partner with outside companies, so those type of themes we believe should stay in the new facility. Catering was the spot we did not do well in. That's an area we know we need to focus in. My hula hoop person down there won the contest. Entertainment was big for us. We drove a lot of elements. But the critical thing I want to point out here, most of the outside activity is where we drove our seasonal business, where we made our money. Market, all kinds of ways we marketed. That's for whoever was upset with me. Now we ask the question. My little buddy with the Ocean Pine shirt. All right. Now we'll hit lights. See, it wasn't too bad. Well, it's that important to me that I'm going to give you as much detail as I can. All right. Let's go. Let's see where we are. We'll start right here. Yes, ma'am.
Where's the microphone for?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We've got them. Teresa's getting. We have a microphone. Thank you for reminding me of that.
I raised my hand, but I never did.
Let her grab the mic. I'm going to have her give you the mic. It's on, Teresa. I can hear it crackling.
I talk loud enough, so my husband just said.
All right, your name, ma'am?
Okay, I'm Carol Haig, we live on Wheeler Lane.
Turn it on, she turned it
It's on. It's on. Just hold it close to your mouth, Miss Haig.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, she turned it off. Turn it
No,
on.
it's on. It's, folks, it's on. Just needs to be turned up a little. It's on. I can hear it.
I think everybody can hear me because I talk loud enough.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my question was with that open air on the first floor,
Yes, ma'am.
are we gonna have a lot of problems with birds and mosquitoes and that type of thing?
Not birds, flies is where the biggest concern comes in, because we have those there.
I mean, I think the whole concept is beautiful, but that bothers me.
No, understood. There are elements, and we looked at some things in Florida. If you go online and you start doing research, again, everything's about research to it. Those type of you just turned it off. I can hear it clicking off and on, sir. They are elements we need to be
It's on,
concerned.
but it doesn't work.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
Well, I
not.
already asked my question.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, it is a concern, but we found a lot of people like to sit at that outside, but a lot of people are dealing with it now, and that's where we're having the participation, but that's also why the second floor is gonna be enclosed, heated and cool. If you don't wanna be outside in that area, you'll be upstairs.
Why not screen it in?
So, hang, one at a time, please. Okay, did that answer you, ma'am?
Yes, somebody just said, why don't they screen it in?
And I've gotta tell you, we could, there's a 3-season room on track, the track doors, so you can take advantage, cause the shoulder seasons, when you don't have a lot of bugs and stuff, you could potentially screen it.
Because it's impossible to be there in the summer.
Yeah, let's pass the mic around. We're gonna go, hang on, we had it right in the back, I'll come back to you. I saw your hand, your hand's been up patiently, I saw it.
I just worry about, apart from the bugs, and if you have fans, that helps the bugs a little bit. But if you have a couple of winters and a bad nor'easter or two, how is that area gonna hold up if it's not open? I would think that 5 years down the road, you'd be saying, ooh, this doesn't look very attractive. You don't agree? I mean,
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, you would stack the furniture as we do with any of the pool furniture and wrap
you've got
up.
tiles on the floor. you've
Well,
got-
the tiles aren't going
You've got
anywhere.
some kind of ceiling up there? I mean,
Okay.
We live in Ocean City, and we have that over there all the time. The places are designed for the 120-mile-an-hour. If you have equipment and everything else in and out of your building, you simply move and have something. There will be times when
yeah.
the building will be set.
Hey, Teresa, will you help run the mic around? Because up front, folks can't hear the question and answer, so. All right, the question, basically, just for those that didn't hear it, with the wind, or having a nor'easter come up the coast, what happens to the outdoor elements? Mr. Unger in the back, who works in Ocean City deals with it all the time. You move your elements, you tie them down. I can tell you, when we have high winds, we have to go strap down, stack. We do all kinds of things to prepare all the pool areas which are open. So the beach club, similar type situation. You have to take care to do it. And when you build a facility, you build it with that in mind. All right, right up front, Teresa. We're going to try to do the microphone, please, because not everyone gets to hear.
I'm Candy, and the last meeting that we came to, that was the 7-hour long
Yes,
marathon,
ma'am.
the question was asked then whether or not you were gonna build this building, if it happens, to take on sliding glass doors and screens. So the answer to bad weather and stuff like that, if they do that, you just slide the glass shut and everything stays nice inside. But, I mean, so I'm thinking that you already covered that, really.
Well, we're conceptual, so we haven't designed that yet. I will tell you, one of someone recently went to Florida, and she came back with pictures of the 3-season sliders that are either glass and or screens that you build the track right in the ground, and they basically fold on top of each other so you don't see them. But then when you go to the shoulder seasons, you can do it. You can, do those type of elements. So yes, there are things that we need to consider.
That's the way the lanais are
Yes.
in every house in Florida, and they're set up that way.
All right, and let me go. Teresa's going to bring you the microphone. Hi.
I have a question that I didn't hear the answer to. Is the goal of the yacht club going to be profitable? I did not hear that question because I know over the past year we've been looking to be an amenity for people with the Java Bay Cafe that was open all the time, and we couldn't tell whether it looked like it was not profitable. That wasn't the goal. The question is, will it be now?
Well, in my opinion, each of our amenities should be operated as a business, or in the board's agree, business-like manner. So if you're going to operate in a business-like manner, you are trying to make money, or at a minimum, and it's my opinion, break even. If we're able to do it, if we're able to make money, now think about this. Our marina makes money. The beach club makes money for the parking. Though anytime we have the opportunity to make money, it offsets the cost to maintain the facilities. It offsets the assessments if we're going to do more types of things. So, yeah, my goal would be to drive profits. Yacht club, golf club, marinas.
Will that be part of the business plan?
It is, yes, ma'am. And we've tried very hard to focus on that this year. That's why I can tell you exactly where the two elements that hurt us the most were. We're watching that very, very closely. We will do that more effectively this year, I can guarantee you. She's moving the mic around.
My name's Ed McLennan, I'm in Interlinks. Just a clarification. We've
Yes,
been
sir.
reading this thing about enclosing the downstairs area.
Yes, sir.
If you do put this in the plan, and we're looking at a facility for 20 or 30 years, would you include air conditioning and heating in there in your original concept?
Downstairs.
Yes.
If it's not fully enclosed, you would not heat and cool it. That's part of the positive part of operating it more economically. Now, what we would want to do is build the facility in a way that if in the future we decided we want to close that in and heat and cool it, that's part of why I mentioned the 12 to 14 foot ceilings. You could run the ductwork to do. We need to be thinking of the future when we do this. What can we do now, and what can we grow into if we need to? So enclosing it later is a possibility, and a strong possibility, I
We're
think.
talking 25 years down the road.
Could be
No,
5 if
we
we're
have to do it.
profitable. Yeah, and
Thank you.
come, Teresa, right here.
Yeah, my name's Wayne Matthau, and I live in the towns in Interlinks. And I agree with the young lady that was talking about the profitability. I mean, I cannot understand why it can't be profitable when it has no cost, hardly. I mean, if I could have a restaurant that I don't pay lease or have to own and pay a mortgage on, and I couldn't make a profit on it, I should shoot myself.
I agree.
I mean, it's like a perfect setup.
I agree. You're not
So,
doing your
all I'm
argument.
saying is that the question should be, it has to be profitable. Why build it? If it's not profitable, it's not worth building. Okay, and you know, it's just, it makes common sense. I mean, if I'm a venture capitalist and I do put money in ventures, I would never do this. Never.
Okay.
If it doesn't make any money.
My name's Norm Katz. I don't have any smoke and mirrors, and I don't have a presentation, PowerPoint presentation to make. I'm gonna make some comments for about 4 minutes, and hopefully you'll just think about the things that I'm talking about. And a lot of it has to do with what Wayne is saying. He asked earlier about a business plan. He asked about what do we want the yacht club to be, and I'm gonna give you my ideas of what it should be. I'm gonna tell you why first. Now, in recent years, we've replaced the yacht club roof, we've installed new siding, we put in a new elevator, we put in a Java Bay cafe with new furniture and fixtures. We've relocated and installed a new bar. We refurbished the bathrooms. We've partly repaired the pilings and the deckings. We installed a new bathroom for the pool, a new pool pump room. We put in a bocce court. And we did a great deal of renovation outside and around the bar and sitting areas. And that's all the things I can think of right now. But my estimate is that was about $1.5 million. Okay, and now we're being asked to flush it down the toilet and build a new $3.1 million yacht club on the gamble that if we build it, they're gonna come. Now, there's multitudes of catering areas on the bay and on the ocean, and they're attractive and they're well priced. We have 13 restaurants just outside the South Gate, which are more convenient to many of the association members than is the yacht club. And we've had a series of general managers, a series of restaurant managers, we've had a series of different boards with so-called successful business people on those boards. Okay? And none of them, without as much competition, could make food and beverage amenities profitable. The figures recently reported on the yacht club, our general manager indicated that we're increasing traffic. He pointed that out. But despite that, we're still losing money. He pointed that out as well. In some cases, the increase in cost to facilitate the increase in traffic actually resulted in more losses. And you can't make up losses with volume. I don't know how many of you remember, because it's almost a decade ago, but a plan was presented to our members to build a new community center that was so extravagant, it was nicknamed the Taj Mahal. It was soundly defeated in a referendum. The shame of it is that so much money was wasted on the plans and on the referendum that was certain to be defeated. Now what's been presented to us is another Taj Mahal, and to say the least, it's just as extravagant, especially in the current economic environment. Extravagant because we're unable to compete with the surrounding restaurants, and it's extravagant because we'll continue to be a financial disaster if we continue in the same course of doing business as usual, and that's what we've been doing. Now, I was born in Brooklyn, okay? And, how could you tell, right? Well, anybody that thinks that this yacht club rebuild is presented to us, along with the Phantom business plan, is going to be successful, I have a bridge to sell to you. If we really want true, for you, 50 cents. If we really want a true amenity that will not be a financial burden, and consequently, if it is a financial burden, it actually deflates our property values. If we really want a true amenity, then we should renovate what we have, and we should lease it to a professional management group or an experienced restaurateur. And an alternative to that is to rebuild a one-story seasonal building with only food and beverage services on about the same scale as the beach club. And it would be more feasible. It would be more feasible financially, and it will be less of a challenge to our management. I'm hoping that the board will put an end to this nonsense before it progresses any further. But if not, I'm hoping all of you will join in celebrating the new Taj Mahal. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kathy Gallagher, and I'm a relatively new resident, and I apologize, but I'm totally on the opposite end.
Don't apologize.
The reason I moved here was mainly because I had a visit at the yacht club, and I saw the view, and I saw the amenities, and I just fell in love. I do want to tell you that because of the yacht club, when I have family down here, I always take them there first, or if people are on vacation, I take them there first. Right now, I have 3 people that are looking for homes down here because of their visit and their love with the yacht club. Okay?
Thank you.
But that also leaves me with the question of why. And I know that you've got a solid plan here between the 2 facilities, and maybe I missed the first part of it.
No, ask.
But why, if we're gonna put this money into this, and it's such a beautiful facility, and you're saying that it's making money this year because it's being run better, and because the food's better and everything, why are we only gonna do that for 3 months?
Okay,
Okay?
let's make sure the clarity, we're not making money, we're still losing money.
Okay, but it
Okay.
is improving.
I believe so, yes
And
ma'am.
it's-
Food and regular beverage are through the roof,
Right.
yes ma'am.
And it's improving because there's better management and better watch over
I
and
just think we have a different
entertainment.
focus.
Yeah, and well, my idea is that if everybody is now coming out because you've been selling it and they're responding to the fact that you're selling it and marketing and people are really coming out to use it, why then all of a sudden are we gonna close it down? Because then is it turning mainly into a business because it's weddings and during the summer versus something that's there for all of us as an amenity all year long?
Great question. Look, I've said before, I'm open to have longer hours. I'm open. When we're looking at Ocean Pines Association holistically, just so you understand my thought on this, we need to understand how all of the pieces fit together into the big puzzle. Okay? It'd be nice to say one element only, but we have multiple elements and they have to work together. In lieu of having any changes to the country club, we would rely heavily on the yacht club. If at some point we make changes to the country club, and we're gonna have the same meeting next week talking about the country club specifically. If we do move forward with any project there, we have to make sure we understand how the 2 work together. And that's all I'm saying. We've considered that. It's one of the things that if we had 2 facilities built, we have to make sure that we have a plan that can support both. If we have one built, the plan will be designed around that. So it's a great question, and thanks for being here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm Marcia Albrecht, and I have a couple of things, but I'd like to say one thing. When we bought our first home in Ocean Pines in 1977, the reason we bought in Ocean Pines was the amenities. Nobody said the amenities had to make money. Nobody said anything else. The main thing was if you bought in Ocean Pines, you have the amenities at your hand. You can use them. It's part of being an Ocean Pines resident. That's why we bought, because we've had better deals at Ocean City. Decided on Ocean Pines because of the amenities. With that said, the yacht club, to me, why can't it be rebuilt like it is? That is, if you look at all the advertisements over the last 35 years, and all the logos, and everything, when anybody sees the yacht club, they know it's Ocean Pines. Why would we want to lose that great marketing picture of the yacht club? The second thing is, I think it's ridiculous to close in the winter. My friends and I are there at least 2 or 3 times a week. You closed down. So what you've done is saying to me, we don't want your business, go outside of Ocean Pines. Well, we do. We all meet at different places. You know what? It's going to be very hard when I don't know if you're all like us, when you get comfortable someplace, you stay there because you develop a loyalty with the staff and so forth. So then all of a sudden, you're gonna say to me, okay, it's May, come back. It ain't gonna happen. So by closing, you're telling me, go somewhere else, Ocean Pines doesn't want you. Come back in May when we open and we'll take care of you, maybe, and if not, and then in September, go someplace else again. And I think that's kind of a waste. We come a lot, I'm here a lot, of what used to be. We go to every facility, you're right, the acoustical guitars and all the entertainment. The girls at the yacht club can tell you I have a large table standing all the time with at least anywhere from 8 to 30 people and everything. So it's there. We're raise the prices a little bit on the liquor.
You guys all hear that?
Yeah.
I did not say that.
No, I'll tell you what, I paid $13 for a bottle of White Zinfandel. If I go to any restaurant, any place else around here, it's $18. So why not make it $15 here, pick up $2 more? You know, little things like that can really make a difference. And the other thing, I really hope you decide to, if you're gonna rebuild, you rebuild like the yacht club, because I think the inside of the yacht club is beautiful. I don't want to see it close in the winter because I moved here for the water. I want to sit and look at the water, and I think the water's beautiful in the winter when all the people are gone. And I love it. I wouldn't go to the yacht to the country club if you paid me. I want to be by the water. And the other thing is, if you have to do this other monstrosity, you have to screen it in. We go up there for all the events and all the time, and I have a lot of company, and we're always there, and the bugs drive us someplace else. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And just so you all know, I'd rather stay open 7 days a week. The board will tell you, my goal is to be open all the time. I don't want you going anywhere else. Economically this year, it made sense to scale that down. I just wish there were 1,000 of you. We have 12,000 year-round residents. I know. You get 1,000 in, we can do it. It just has to. We made the decision this year, and it was a hard one. I guess.
I can't even understand the Monday and the Tuesday.
No, understood. I would love to be open. I don't want you to go anywhere but here. I got to say. Teresa's got the mic.
No.
Oh.
Just the first question that was asked of you, one of the first questions, I'm not sure everybody heard.
Can you talk
In the mic. In the microphone,
please?
Okay. Is this better? Okay.
Not
The
much.
first questions you were asked, Bob, I'm not sure everybody heard either the question or the response, but I'd like it repeated if that's possible. The question was about the open area downstairs. Your response was, you won't have upstairs dining where it's air conditioned, right?
Correct.
For those who prefer that. So I'm just not sure everybody had that in mind. And you will be able to have upstairs dining in the closed facility.
It's a wedding, it's always catered.
That's where we.
There would be a problem when there's a night where there's a wedding, yes.
And they're online.
Yes,
They're
okay.
Hi, I'm Joni Stern, and first of all, once again, I went to that marathon meeting too. But first of all, I think Bob deserves an applause. I think it was an outstanding presentation. I don't know any general manager that has gone to the length that he has gone to try to make this community what we want it to be. The yacht club is used by many of us, and I've been here, I've had a home here since 1991. And I started going to the yacht club right away. And it wasn't long after that, with my guests and everything, we didn't go back. This is the best I have seen the yacht club be operated since I've been here. And I stopped going to it, in fact, I even stopped thinking about it. But I started going back to it in the last year and a half just to try it out. Started on taco night, you know. And I'm not saying the tacos were the best in the world, but it was such a nice environment. I started seeing all my friends there again, and it was pleasant. I kept going back. I love the coffee shop. I love the pastries. I like the atmosphere. The golf group that I'm with, we all started going there on different nights and meeting up with each other in the bar area. And the fact that they're suggesting that we rebuild, I see as a positive thing, because it's for us. And the fact is, when you do something like this, it just makes the value of our homes better. Yes. You gotta keep the amenities up. You don't keep them up, the value goes down. You let it go to pot, and nobody wants to even. Just like this woman said, nobody even wants to be here. Now, as far as the outside goes, I know when you go to Florida, and somebody mentioned about the bugs, I eat outside in Florida all the time, and the bug thing is, shut up, Andy, I was gonna say. The bug area hasn't been a problem, because they have little things all around to keep the bugs out, and I've asked about it, and they show me, and it's not been an expensive thing for them. But the other thing is, I said this to Bob in the last meeting, he said no, but I think he might reconsider, I don't know. But
After the nice words, I might.
Those heating elements out there in certain areas, because people will sit out there during colder months, maybe later on in the fall, but not maybe January, February, and it's nicely heated when you use those elements. And he said, that's not in the plan right now, but I think we can work on him on that. I support it 100% rebuilding it.
Me too.
Hi, Graham Caldwell. I live in Juneway Lane. I've been down here for 16 years and moved down here and I was in love with Ocean City and Ocean Pines. And you know what I found out is true. There's a lot of restaurants outside of Ocean Pines and there's a lot of other things to do. But in the summertime, there's also a lot of people out there. The prices in those restaurants aren't particularly good, and some of those people are on the crazy side. And I've gravitated more and more to staying here in Ocean Pines in the summertime. And my favorite place to be is the Yacht Club. They've got a great band there every Friday and Saturday night. My wife and I love to dance. We're over there and we see the same people in week after week. It's a great place to gather. I love the concept on this thing, and I think you're doing a great job on planning this thing, and I look forward to seeing that new Yacht Club, and I have a good dance floor, please.
Yeah.
Sister. Thank you. I'll finally identify the mystery speaker. I'm George Colburn, Section 6, Lot 294. I don't know if the thing works, and I'll leave it up to you. I want to congratulate these ladies. They both raised points that I might have, but I didn't want to take up too much time. When we first moved here a dozen years ago, we went to the yacht club a couple times a week. Any visitors came, friends, relatives, we always took them to the yacht club. But 13 or so restaurants have been built around us since then, so we spread our business around a little bit. But without rolling around in all of it,
we've got our financial expert, a minute he walked out. This is the annual report for the last year ending April 30th, 2011. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of numbers, but one thing that jumped out at me, because I have a financial as well as a legal background, the only Ocean Pines amenities that do any good business are the ones that are open for summertime activities. The beach club, the marinas, tennis, and in the summer, the yacht club. The rest of the year, people here, even though there's some 12 or 14,000 year-round residents, and I work for the census 2 times, and I generally figure those numbers, they just don't use it for whatever reason, whether it's the weather, what have you. So I commend the idea, Bob, of a summertime facility, whether you enclose it and put up with the bugs like they do at St. Michael's in Annapolis, or whether you do this or the other thing. It's good thinking, but let's limit it to the time. We don't have to lose our shirts either. Revenue is up. For the first 8 months of this year, it's $100 and some thousand more than it was for all of last year. But losses are also up. We've lost $55,000 in 8 months. We got the 4 worst months of the year to come. But let's not give up on the idea. Let's just tailor it to meet the needs and the desires of the community without pretending that we live in Disney World or something. Thank you.
I'm Gene Ringsdorf. I live at 2 Carriage Lane, and I've been down here for about 10 years. I was on the Budget and Finance Committee from whenever the hell I came down, 2003 to 2006. We had studies back then that said our labor costs were about 60% higher than the restaurants in the area, and our food and beverage costs were higher than norm in this area. So I don't know if there's something systemically wrong with the way we run it, but I do hope you can attack that vigorously, because that's always been a concern. It's not a new concern.
Won't be this year.
I hope not. And my second question is just a question because I am not sure, but can catering, with so much emphasis on catering, can that be conceived by the IRS as an unrelated business, unrelated to the homeowners association, and could that eventually get us in some hot water like we are with the beach parking situation? Does that, Pete, do you know, Mr. Rumsack?
You can't comment. We're going to court tomorrow in Richmond to discuss it, okay? We're leaving at 4 tomorrow, aren't we? 4 in the morning to go to here at the 4th Circuit Court. The IRS is going to decide that. We have no comment.
A comment about the beach parking or about the catering?
Gene, will you see the minute today?
Real quick. Gene, unrelated business income tax is imposed on the profits, not the revenues, the profits.
Okay, but can the catering business be carved out?
No.
Okay, so that would not be subject to.
In the current case, took into account the beach club, not only parking, but also the restaurant. So I won't say anything more.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's just at the catering. And also, my last comment is that if you're looking at the yacht club and focusing some of the attention on potential catering business, and you're looking at the country club with some focus on potential catering business there.
Yes, and beach club.
Well, that's where I'm going. The beach club, to me, if the yacht club is so desired for weddings, with its view out to the channel, I would think the beach club would be desirable for catered events with its beach view. My niece just got married on the beach.
We actually do catered events at the beach club, and we will continue to do more catered events at the beach club.
But I mean, eventually, all the infrastructure here was originally installed in the late 60s and early 70s. And if we're coming to a period, we're in the period now where a lot of that infrastructure just has to be replaced due to age. It's not.
Thank you.
going to work to continually do patchwork on some of these facilities that were built in 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. So this is a discussion that's going to go on when we start talking about the administration building and other buildings around the whole complex, the beach club. So whatever we do here, my view is they've served for 40 years. They don't last forever. You're going to have to replace them. And, you know, may as well do it right.
Thank you.
And I still live at 2 Parish.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Jack Ferry Jr., live at 338 Ocean Parkway. As Kathy said, what brought us down here were the amenities. And not just the amenities, but the variety of amenities, the clubs, the organizations that are down here, the beach club, all the swimming pools, and of course, specifically with us, the yacht club. You know, it's a great amenity. We talk about business or amenity. They're not businesses, they're amenities. Do we need to run them like a business? Sure, we need to run them like a business, but they're amenities. We subsidize aquatics, we subsidize recreation, we subsidize all other activities in here, but a lot of times I feel like the yacht club becomes a whipping boy when it's not making the kind of money that it should be making or could be making. There are a lot of restaurants around us, they don't close down in the wintertime. I don't think they even cut back on their hours. They're doing okay. I think the problem has been that in the past, we haven't tried to run it as a business. We haven't tried to appeal to the people who live here all year round. This year we have. If you offer it, they will come, and they have. People from Ocean Pines are coming back to the yacht club. They're supporting the yacht club, having a great time. You can't say it's going to be a place to gather if it's only open 3 months out of the year, and especially if the bottom is open. Now we're building something that is a business, and it's no longer an amenity. It's a business because it's going out for people who are only coming in here for one event. Hey, no problem. Have a second floor for catering. That's great because that helps us. That helps the bottom line. That helps to offer more opportunities and more activities and more resources for the people who live here in Ocean Pines. I think the other thing, when you say that it should only be open 3 months, we don't have the people to support it, I think that belies. When we say that the yacht club originally or used to be open until Labor Day and then was shut down, belies the fact that we have 12,000 people who live here. We don't cut our police force by 2/3. We don't shut down administration hours. We don't lay off public works officials. Why? Because we have people who live here who need those services, and we need those amenities too. And the yacht club, as Kathy said, is one that we love. We want to support it. We want to see it open all the time. Business, we want to be open for business. We want the lights burning.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Colleen Eastman, and I'm here in kind of a dual capacity. I work at the Yacht Club. I've been there for about 2 years, and I'm a resident of Ocean Pines. I'd first like to say that recently we have become very energized, very proud, and very just excited about the prospects of the way the business has been going. We've seen a lot of new faces. We've seen a lot of just more activity generally. As a resident, the Yacht Club is extremely important to me. I too, my family comes, my friends come. We bring them there, we have a great time in the summertime. We're looking forward to St. Patrick's Day. It's our family's favorite holiday. What I would like to say is that I would like to see all of you. I see some familiar faces, but I don't see a lot of you at the Yacht Club. I'm not there all the time, but I am there quite a bit. The draw needs to change. We need to inspire each other to use our amenities, and this is the one that's under the gun. It's the one that needs the most help from all of us. And so in that vein, I would just like to say, try us out, come back. We're open on the weekends. Be there, show up, give it a shot, and just positive attitudes can help us all. I think that we are on a great track. Bob's made some great changes. We've all seen them in the Yacht Club working there. So I would just like to encourage everybody, please come, try it out. Maybe you'll feel a little bit differently. Maybe it won't be the grand plan. I hope it is. I love it. But anyway, I just wanted to encourage all of you to come, give us another shot.
Maybe you should make marketing to the Ocean Pines residents, number one.
Yeah. Instead of using
Yeah.
facilities we have.
Yes, sir.
My name is James Warlock. I live at 2 Weakenville Court. I just want to ask one question. We have all this restaurant stuff. I don't believe we belong in the restaurant business, first of all. And can we call out if the people who live in Ocean Pines, all 12,000 of us, or go before we even go forward on this and say, excuse me, we want to do this or we don't want to do that. Maybe we want the country, the yacht club, you know, something similar, rebuilt, whatever, but without all this restaurant stuff. Just enough to have bathroom facilities for the women, for the men, changing rooms, whatever was there before, and plus the bar area and everything else, because all that area was developed for the old farts. Because the kids, no really, come on, the kids can't come because they can't go in the pool, because they can't drink, and everything else, really. If you want to make a small area facing the other way so the kids can have a hamburger hot dog, that's fine. But I just don't see this big, elegant place. This isn't a 5-star resort. If you want a 5-star resort, open your pocketbook and be prepared to pay $200 a month, $300 a month, and then you can have all these facilities, no problem. But I just think we should have 2 ways for the people to go. If they want to go with a nice facility, with the current amenities that we have, without all this big dining and everything else, and all that stuff, and your way, the other way, that's fine, I have no problem with it. But then before we go any further and spend more money on developing all these plans, why don't we ask the people, 12,000, whatever. I know my house went down $300,000. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody went down 30%, right? So now, you think you're gonna make that by putting this up? It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. You can put all the amenities for free. You're not gonna get those properties up for at least another 5 to 10 years. So why don't we just watch what we do? It's a bad time out there. Borrowing money is not a good idea. And see what we can come up with, at least let the people make a decision before you go into this big thing. It's a big thing, $2 million. By the time you finish with all these and then it's gonna be $5 million. I'll tell you right now, 2.5 ain't even close to where we're gonna go. If we're gonna do the yacht club, we're gonna do the country club, we're gonna do all that stuff, it ain't gonna happen. You ain't got the money. So, that's just my comment. I just want to say, you know, if we can go 2 ways, I think it's better that people make a decision before we go in a certain direction. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the input. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the microphone. Yes, sir, my apologies.
I'm Bill Zawacki.
Who?
First, I'd just like to say that if you look at the charter for this corporation, the bylaws, the DRs that govern what you can do with your property, you will not find anywhere in there that this homeowners association is supposed to operate a business. You will find in there that we are required to operate amenities. And there are some who want to combine those 2 words. That shouldn't happen. You won't find in there that we are supposed to run a commercial catering operation. It's all right to consider an amenity where we provide a meeting space and a meal for, say, the Anglers Club. But it doesn't mean that we have to build a building capable of holding a wedding for somebody from Chicago. I think your idea with this new building is good. I like the fact you're moving it. I like to see it on something besides creosoted posts driven in the ground. Something resembling a modern foundation. On the other hand, I think it's being raised up in the air to accommodate catering. And thus, all of our residents are being relegated to the open area underneath. Frankly, I think we'd be better off drop it down to the ground. Forget the raised part of it. You're gonna cut the costs. We'll have a nice indoor facility. If you want, on the water side of it, put in your sliding glass walls so that you can open it up like a Florida lanai. Best of both worlds. Cheaper. If you do find that you have space and so on, and you need to do some catering, use your portable walls, divide that thing in half. You can hold a big meeting on one side and still be serving our residents on the other side. Since I'm probably not going to attend the next meeting, though, I would like to say, relative to that one, that whole idea is stupid.
I just have one comment about the catering that I haven't heard anybody say. Our daughter was married at the Yacht Club. I mean, the catering is available to all of us, and it was, you know, it's something that we can use, and it's amenity for us in that area. So, you know, it's not all these outside people who use for catering, it's us too, so think about it.
Teresa. Here, come right up here for you. You patiently waited.
Jack Ferry Senior. Do I need this?
Please.
Here I saw my son.
Oh, you're under, Mr. Ferry, you're under the speaker.
What do I have to do?
Come this
Move
way a
over?
little bit.
How about this?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, I thought he came down here because I lived here, but he came down here for the same reason I came down here. I came down here about 17 years ago, okay? Didn't move here till about 12 years ago because we had to finish working and go on pension and so forth like everybody else. But the reason we came here was amenities. I love the ocean. I love the beach club. I love the yacht club. I swim. We use all of the facilities. I don't golf anymore. If I golfed, I would use that facility also, okay? But the amenities, the amenities, the amenities. And, you know, the bar over at the yacht club, for those, you know, I like to go to a bar, okay? I drink Yingling beer, by the way, and I gave him heck a couple times because they kept running out of Yingling beer during the summer, okay? The bar over at the yacht club was like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. You go in there, hi. You're meeting your neighbors, okay? That's what I thought it was all about. We have everything. I mean, Ocean Pines has everything. We came from up near the Poconos. If I wanted to look at trees, and I wanted to look at those, I don't know what you guys call them, those gumball trees, oh my God. I certainly wouldn't be here, okay? But Bob, catering, you know, it looks like the amenities are taking a step backwards for catering, you know. And I know a little something about catering, we did a lot of it, but anyway, I like the yacht club, and let me tell you something, the staff will tell you, I use it, okay? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Summers. I live at 46 Pintail Drive. We've owned our house here since '99. Prior to that, we were over Ocean City from '91. I'm a person that's been pretty much raised in shore areas in Townsend Inlet, New Jersey, and Avalon. I'm not a person that, you know, throws good money after bad. We bought a house here. My wife wanted the house enlarged. She was talking 200 square feet. We wound up in 1,000 square feet enlarging it. The concept of the new yacht club is okay. I'd like to have it look a lot more majestic looking like the old one. And larger dance floor. Excuse me, I'm getting nervous. I'm not used to talking in public. Just to my wife. And if you do, excuse me, if you do build it, try to make it maintenance free. You know, and where we're not gonna have to, do this, extensive maintenance on it year after year after year. The open area for the dining downstairs, totally against it. With you moving the yacht club back, it has given you enough outdoor deck area. It should be sufficient for everybody who wants to eat outside. The catering, our oldest son had his wedding reception at the yacht club. That was, about 10 years ago? And it was a wonderful catering facility. We really enjoyed the food, accommodations and all. That's about all I'd say.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question? I'm a little confused. When you said catering, are you catering outside of Ocean Pines, or are you catering events in the yacht club? I'm a little confused.
Catering at the facility.
Okay, the way some of these gentlemen were talking, I thought you were running a catering business outside.
No, at the facility.
Oh,
The concern is, and what I'm hearing, if I'm wrong, tell me, but the concern is folks coming outside using the facility and displacing our regular residents, our regular members who use it. Someone like you, who uses it regular, if we can't have you come in and enjoy your dining experience as you do every week because we have a catered event. Am I correct when I say that? That's what I'm hearing.
Their priorities over our priorities.
It's not, but I mean, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing what, exactly. Who's got the, yes, sir? And you moved away, thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Briggs. I live at 3 Aurora Court. My wife and I moved here about 5 years ago, and about 5 years prior to that, or that time frame prior to us moving, we probably stalked the Pines that whole time and checking out the area, and knew some people who lived here. I worked with Mr. Wentworth's brother, and actually did some stuff with helping him build his house on just off of Juneway. I know there was a gentleman on Juneway. But anyway, we moved here for the amenities. As a matter of fact, my daughter was married at the yacht club. I think we ought to be getting some royalties because they keep using the one picture with everybody on the front of the building. That's our wedding. And
Thank you for that.
I don't think we'll need to do that today, considering the condition of the structural condition. But the staff at the yacht club, we've had other not catered things, but parties for golf groups and stuff like that, Colleen and the staff at the yacht club has done a fabulous job. And I am for a light building rebuild, if we can get that done.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Ann Carlson, and I'm here not because of the subject. I was told the other day when I called the office that we're allowed to come to speak about other things as well.
I'm not sure who directed that, but I'll take your shot. Go ahead.
A secretary in your office, I called, and she said you would have an open forum for other questions. And you're all talking about how beautiful a community we live in. I first became familiar with this community 30 years ago, and I fell in love with it for the fact that it's beautifully natural. And we've got lots of beautiful trees, and I think most of us have come to live here for that reason. Recently, over the last few years, in my particular section, there has been demolition of trees, very much so, that where properties are totally taking the homeowners are totally taking down every single tree on their lot. And I think that is more important right now than just about anything else. Because the reason we all moved here was for the beauty of this community. I traveled many states looking around for another home to live in and came to the conclusion this is where I wanted to live. The amenities are great, but you're never going to find a more beautiful community as this is with the trees. Take away all these trees and what will you have? And that's what we're faced with. And I'd like to know right now, Mr. Thompson, I've called you before, you never
About
followed.
the trees?
You never followed up. You told me you were gonna take a ride around. In my community, in my section, go look now, there are 6 properties that have been totally destroyed. I'd like to know the answer to what is the policy now. I know when I moved here, I had a book of bylaws that said that you cannot take down a tree unless you were given the permission to.
That's correct.
Well, I don't see any permission being given. I don't see the okays or the ribbons around the trees like I used to see. And I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why one particular property especially took down every single tree a few weeks ago on his entire property. I thought you needed a license for that.
There are rules, ma'am, and our CPI department says
I know there is. I know there are. And that's why I'm here tonight. Just to bring it to the attention of the people here and to your attention again. I'd like to know what's happening to this community that I so love. And before we talk about amenities like structures that could be built in a couple of years, these trees have grown over hundreds of years. And I think it's more important to address that right now than ever before. And I'm sorry to have interrupted your meeting about the yacht club.
Okay.
But I was told I could come and voice my opinion here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bob, I've got a
That's right.
I had my hand up a long time ago. 3 or 4 people have already mentioned what I want to. I don't want to comment so much as clarify something, but I think other people have already clarified it. When we talk about catering, the vast majority of the catering is for our members, okay? Some of you said weddings are your children. I did a study a couple of years ago of the revenues and trying to analyze where it came from. The vast majority of what we're talking about is coming from our members as opposed to from people outside the community. Weddings, and then the second most numerous type of event are bereavement functions. And anyway, I just want to clarify, when we talk about the outside, it's not, and I think Mary Ann did, so go ahead. That's it.
Hi, my name's Ken Waters, North Ocean Pines, Burton, sorry. I had a question about the, when you're talking about the catering, do we charge the same for outside use, people from the outside as, residents?
We do.
So maybe, if there was a real concern, if it was a real, maybe you could charge more. But the other comment I wanted to make is, I first became aware of Ocean Pines in 1968 when I had a part-time job going to people's homes in Washington, D.C. and telling them about Ocean Pines. And one of the things we did as part of the marketing, we talked about the amenities. And especially since there was no Route 90 bridge at that time, I don't know if people remember that, but the amenities was what drove people here. In 1991, my in-laws moved here full-time, and so we were coming down quite a bit, and then in 1999, my wife said, that's where I'm going to retire. If you want to come, that's fine, good. So, and then in 2009, we became permanent residents. We bought our first home in 1999. So I just want to say that it looks like we have a decision. The decision is, it sounds like it's pretty imminent that we're going to have to make a lot of major changes or improvements to the current structure that might not be fiscally responsible, or we're going to build a new structure and we're going to have to decide exactly how we're going to use it, which you brought up. So I think it's pretty simple. We've got a structure that's got to be replaced fairly soon, and if we don't do it, we don't really have a choice. We're either not going to have a structure because it doesn't sound like it'd be really financially practical to just keep making changes, maintenance improvements. So I think that's what we have to keep in mind, as well as keeping in mind it is the amenities. I wanna say, the yacht club, it wasn't until this last year that we really started going frequently because of the marketing and because there were improvements. I don't think it brought it up to the level we would like, but there were a lot of improvements that really made it a joy to share with friends outside the community.
Thank you. Right here, waiting patiently.
My name is Doug Slingerland. I've lived there for
It's on.
for 18 years. I've watched the wind change direction in those 18 years, and I consider one of the fundamental, very fundamental issues is that how much are willing to, for the population to subsidize the amenities. And that depends on which bunch of people you're talking to. I don't have an answer to that. That's what it comes down to, really. It shows up in the results of referendums.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I want to thank you all for taking time to come out. Email, call, fax, stop by and see me with any other input you have. All right, thank you.
Good job.
Yes. Yes.